What is up, everyone? Sheesh. Man, did we just talk about Bitcoin tonight? Like, sheesh. So I charted out before was the overall pivot points, but let me turn this down a little more. There we go. Yeah, let's do it on Bitcoin right now. So pivot points are your lows and highs of the recent. So basically you're trading the zones between them and playing the ping pong action off of them. So you can make a pivot zone basically on all these wicks from back here. So for instance, this pivot zone right here, if we don't reclaim this, that means we're going back down to the other pivot zone. So we'll go down to here. And if it doesn't bounce back up here, for instance, like if it does one of these, you know it's going to come back down. If it doesn't hold there, then it's probably going to go down and retest here. Now, if it can reclaim this, which it doesn't look like it's gonna, we'll see, it looks like it double rejected twice and is holding below. So this candle would probably have to retake this for this to not come back down and retest this. Now, right now we're in the downtrend, and the uptrend is done because we're below the previous pivot zone. Should we just take a break and watch Billions tonight? Just do that on the stream. I feel like everyone's into that all of a sudden. Alright, so what I just charted were all the pivot zones that Bitcoin will now go through in the short term. So, if it breaks below this last one, it's gonna then switch, then you'd have to use fibs or it was gonna go down here. So if you look for the breakout, which I believe is right here. Go low to high. Got your fib zone that lines up with your pivot zones. That's always good. So usually you'll have a pivot zone break and then a retest like you have right here. So this is an example of a pivot zone break and a retest. And now it's going to go down and test this fib line right here. And if that breaks, it's going to go down to this pivot zone. And if that breaks, then we're done. This is our last line of the sand down here. Ooh, StarCraft 2 is my jam. And looks like the pivot zone played out here perfect live on stream. This is Bitcoin Live. So we're just going to watch this play out for a second here. We can even go down to the second if we wanted on this and watch the fractals on this. So you can see the fractals on the second chart. So you can see the pivot zone right here get rejected. It's testing again. Pivot. This is the 1 second chart, so we're watching the fractal pivot zones. So this is super live. You can see kind of an ascending triangle forming on the 1 second. Yeah, Nabil, I could show you the weighted VWAPs. You're talking about this right here. Anchored VWAP or weighted VWAP? So if this can't retake this here, there's a good chance it's going to come back down and retest this again here. 1 second charts are very interesting. You can see a head and shoulders up here. Here's a head and shoulders, break, full. We could do a measured move on this. Watch this. So break, head and shoulders. Does this play out to the T? Look at that head and shoulders. Measured move on a head and shoulders break like that is usually head to neckline, and you can see it played out perfectly there. Look at that. Look at that play out. Head and shoulders right there. So let's see what it does here. Looks like it broke this pivot point, so we could be going back up here. So now your next pivot points are going to be right here. So you should see Bitcoin test this pivot zone right here. Alright, that's testing there, and if this breaks, it looks like you could see a retest of this downtrend right here. And bounce on this old pivot point right here. Nope, went right through. Let's see, does it bounce here? It's a 1 second chart, so I'm trying to just do this in live. 1 second gives us a lot of action, so. Oh, this over here? Yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, so that is, it's called tape. So if you were to go into indicators and just type tape, it's the tape by Luke F. So you can see all the buys and sells coming through. I'm having fruit punch and vodka tonight. Alright, so it looks like I was right. Came down, tested this zone, retested the breakout, came through, broke through the pivot point right here on the 1 second, and then could not get through this extra pivot point right here. But now it came back down, held this previous pivot point. Looks like it potentially is making a head and shoulders here on the 1 second. It's holding this pivot point so far, so as long as it holds this, it's bullish. So now that we're in an uptrend, as long as it holds the previous pivot points, it's a bullish signature. This is how you know whether to hold your calls or puts. If it's in an uptrend, you always play the trend. So in an uptrend, you play calls as long as it's holding your pivot points. Oh, just broke the pivot point. So now you would have sold your call right there on that break. And now until it can reclaim that, this is now in a bearish trend. This is a 1 second. I'm trying to show this real fast to show you kind of, this would be over a whole day. This would take forever to play out, but I'm trying to show you fractal trading. Basically, this is how like a high frequency penny scalping bot would trade. So now you're looking at this, you know, in real time you'd have 15 minutes to chart these things, so I'm trying real quick. So this uptrend was broken, so now it's in this downtrend, so you're not playing anything until it breaks one of these things. So you have this pivot point right here. And until it gets over this pivot point, you're not going back in. Alright, now you would have gone back in there, you would have gotten calls. And you can see this played perfectly to this fractal right here. So this was your old pivot point right here. It had a rejection off of that. It's coming back and retesting the breakout, so this is your stop loss now. The old pivot point becomes your stop loss. And until it breaks one of these two, you're okay. So now it's creating buying pressure in this zone. If it breaks out here, it's going to retest then this pivot point up here. Potentially you got a pivot point here as well. So this is a downtrend pivot point and this is an uptrend pivot point. If it doesn't, so basically what happens is if it can't break out above the downtrend pivot point, then that means that move is done. Let's see. Yeah, Christian, I'm going to do some charting. This is live. I'm trying to chart live to show you how you could day trade using pivot points. So I figured Bitcoin's probably the best to do that. And because it's got some action tonight, I'm going on the 1 second to try to make it faster. It's extremely hard to trade on 1 second charts, but I'm doing my best here to show you some charting. We're going to do this for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll do some ticker requests. So, as you can see here, it held this pivot point here, and it's continuing to break out. It looks like it's struggling with this old downtrend pivot. So if it gets above here, it should retest this up here. Above that, then the next pivot points, it's going to have a lot of struggle with this area because this is a big consolidation area. But if it can get through, if it can get above this red zone here, it should start retesting up here then. So we're looking for these bottoms and tops here that coincide in the zone on these pivot points. So you have all these bottoms and they have a top here. So you go the bottoms, the top, and that's your pivot zone. And this is a 1 second, so this is going to be a little big. So could not get above these pivot zones here. It's struggling. But it's a 1 second chart, so keep that in mind. Now, something else to consider here is you see these bottoms right here. This is then when it goes in downtrend. These old supports could theoretically turn into resistance. So if you have support turn resistance, that's a pivot zone as well. So hold on, let me remove everything. So you can see here, this is your pivot point here. So you have old support now turning into resistance. So this will tell you, and this is, so if you see something like this on a 15-minute, let's see here. So this is your go short zone, this is your go long zone. So it breaks above here, you go long, which it just did. So you would have entered here, say on a 5 or 15, you would have entered here, and then you set your stop loss here. So this is then your stop loss here, so you can't lose. The pivot points, it's just the rectangle. It's in the 1, 2, 3, 4th down rectangle star. It make yourself a nice little cheat sheet up here. So these are all the ones that I use. So you can see this support is holding pretty nice right here. So it's a good sign that we're gonna go continued north, but looks like that didn't hold. Alright, so now let's see if it holds this pivot point here. It did not. So you would have taken profits right here on this move from up to down here, potentially. Because that would have been your stop loss. Alright. Let's come back to this. Let's go on the 15-minute. Might be a little easier to follow in real time. I think it's moving so fast right now. So anchored VWAPs you can literally just make a ton of. Let's start on the daily. Kevin, we can do some chart some pennies today. Alright, so you're gonna want to start from every time frame with your anchored VWAPs. You're gonna do a ton of these. So you're gonna do, this is your anchored VWAP tool, it's in here. The second one down is called anchored VWAP. You're gonna go find the lowest candle. And you're gonna go find the highest candle, and that's gonna create your trading zone. So then you can do it, and you can just go down the timelines here. What happened to my bottom one? Oh, there it is. Okay. So now you're going to do the same thing on the 4 hour. You find your most recent high. and most recent low. That's not right. Hold on. I want this right there. There's your anchored view up there, and you're gonna find the most recent high here. And you can go down. You can go down to like the hourly. Yeah, Kenneth. I mean, pivot points are just support and resistance levels, but they're just a good thing for day trading because, like, when you're trading on like the 1 to 15 minute, you can use pivot points for exits and entries, and that's the whole point I'm talking about. So, let's say like for this, you can have an anchored VWAP down here, and then your anchored VWAP would be the top here. If we go on the 15 minute. Let's go on the 5 minute because of how fast this is moving. No, I don't. I mean, that's what I have straight and sig for is for crypto here. So they would know more why this moon than me. I mean, this thing's moving like crazy. So you're just continually going from low to highs and creating zones there. I'm still a little new to it, but I just started using these a little bit ago. I use them so, like, for instance, like a pivot point goes from wick to body for me. So, for instance, like if you were to say this is a pivot point, you would go wick to body. And there's your pivot point. This is what I would call a support zone. So if it goes below this, you short on the break below here. Maybe you give yourself a little leeway. So you say, all right, you know, this is a $100 box. I'll give myself a $50 zone. And if it breaks that $50 zone, so maybe you're looking back here, you're saying, all right, this is going to be my signal, and you go add alert. You just show a pop-up in there, and you say, this is my go short signal, and then you would add that alert there. Inversely, you would say, alright, my pivot point on the way up here is now, as long as this holds right here, you're bullish. So this is your stop loss now. If you're in calls here on this uptrend here, this is your stop loss here because this is your pivot point. This is your old support or old resistance. This should be support now. It's also above your anchored VWAP, so this should be bullish here. So look at this. You could also see on the 1 minute, you have a clear downtrend break, retest. It hits the anchored VWAP. So not only is it anchored VWAP, but it's also this downtrend line and break. So this should be a full reversal on Bitcoin. This should just be a 1-2. I think Bitcoin's gonna potentially go nuts here. This should be this is an impulse move in my opinion. Let's use our fibs here. Let's do a measured move here. Looks like it's holding the 382 golden zone here. So if that's true, we can use a fib extension tool as well. And this could be, man, I mean, this is true. Bitcoin could go bonkers tonight. Bitcoin to 43 grand. One second. I don't think there's dark pools for crypto because by the way crypto is made, dark pools are meant to be not seen, and cryptos are all open ledger, so there's no way for there to be dark pools on crypto to my knowledge. Unless you work it out with the exchange, I suppose. You know, typically when a large whale wants to move money through crypto, he does it in blocks instead of all at once. So he would do, let's say he wants to sell 10,000 Bitcoin, he might do that in, you know, 100 transactions with 100 Bitcoins at a time to avoid detection. or maybe he will make like 98, 102 variable intervals. Because if you see 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100 blocks, algorithms are going to pick that up. So you have you have actually algorithms for selling that splice it into different variables so that it's less detectable by other algorithms, so they don't know and try to liquidate you more. So because when you're selling it, you want to get the best price. You don't want to sell 10,000 coins and incite a panic. So now Sig is the master of these anchored VWAPs. I started playing around with them recently. I have by far not an expert at them, but he explained them to me enough where I feel comfortable saying you just go with the highs and lows of every peak and valley. You just do an anchored VWAP from the high and low of every peak and valley. And you can do that throughout the day, and that'll help create your trading zones throughout the day. And then whenever you break of anchored VWAP, that's when you go long or short, basically. But they are by far not what I use. I like to look for formations like flags and then set peaks and valleys with the pivot zones, and that's how I create my day trades. So like here, this looks like a rising triangle forming. So this broke this anchored VWAP right here. I would probably go long over 38,300 probably. What is that right here? Yeah, so for me, this would be my buy zone right here. So you could even signify that with potentially changing this green to make it your buy zone. So you could make like your support zones red and your buy zones green. What's up, Busy? Welcome to the show. And there you go. Now you're in. That was your buy zone there. So let's see here. So then your buy zone then becomes also your support zone. So, and then as you move up here, let's say when we get to this pivot zone up here, this is your target zone right here, where all these wicks go to. It's going to retest the breakout right here, so it'll probably retest this right here. Let's see if that holds. Looks like it's holding this zone right here. So it held our support zone. This is recorded and will be posted right after. So it broke out, retested our breakout, is holding. For me, I'm pretty bullish on this right now based on the price action. Again, you know, this is our support zone, this red box. As long as it doesn't break below that, we're not going to take a stop loss. What we do have to look for here is an evening star forming based on this doji. If this becomes a bearish engulfing, then I would get out. The fact that it's not a bearish engulfing and it's a bullish candle, we don't have to worry about that. So it looks like it's going to try for our target zone right here. Nabil, I'm just sipping on some peanut butter whiskey right now. What is this? Peanut butter liqueur. Oh, Balvenie, nice. Alright, so this has just hit our profit zone. So now this becomes, yep, look at that. Hit our profit zone, is now rejecting. That was a perfect test of our profit zone, so you should have scaled out at least your half position there. Whenever it hits basically, let's say you have 100% position and you have like maybe a couple profit zones set up. When it hits this, you take out 50%, and when it doesn't hold it, you sell down here. So if you sell 50 when it hits it, and then you sell the rest when it doesn't hold it. So you would be out of this trade from here to here between these pivot zones now. Now it's okay to take another position if it comes back down here and holds and goes back up, but you take your profits here when it rejects and it comes back down. You could then go short potentially if it reverses, or you just wait for it to make its action here. So if it breaks above this zone, then you can go in for round 2 trades through that today. Yeah, Matt. I'm crazy, right? Alright, look at that Hulk dick. Alright, so you're potentially looking to get back in this trade now. Okay, you would have just looked at that. You want a green candle above here for you to go into this trade. Don't go in on wicks. Wait for you to have a solid body above there. You want confirmation. Confirmation is a green body above your buy zone. And then you're going to set another potential resistance here and another potential resistance here. And then your next potential resistance is up here. So you're going to be playing these zones all day, every day. So now you have all your zones for the day, and you could just scalp between zones all day now. If you zoom out, you know, once we clear this zone here, it's almost clear skies. I mean, for me, it already did what I wanted it to do for me to be super bullish on this. So this is what I call scalping throughout the day using pivot zones, and it's a highly profitable. You can make 10% a day every day doing this by sticking to your rules. And I've done it for 2 weeks now, and I've doubled my account just playing 10% of wins a day. So 10% a day is what? 50% and 50%. You know, I went from $2,000 to 4,100. I lost a little on CVS the other day, but my account's now at $4,000 in my small account, just playing 10% on a cash account, 1 to 2 trades a day, maybe 3 if I get lucky. But you know, you're going in with 30 to 40% of your account, looking for 10 to 20% gains. All right, you just entered right there with that full body over. This is your stop loss now, so then you can then turn this red. I'm going to get rid of these incurred VWAPs, they're driving me nuts. How do I turn this red? I guess that wasn't a full body, but I can't click this stupid zone. Well, either way, you know this is your stop loss here now. So then your profit target is this next green zone. Sid, for me, it's usually options, 10 to 20%. Potentially after hours with some penny movers, but that's about it. So it looks like this was a wick and not confirmation. So you wanted to see a confirmation candle over that to really get in. But now it looks like this could be a good short coming up here if we get a confirmation below this zone. See what it does with the anchored VWAP here. Looks like it bounced right on it and then got rejected, and it's done. So now it's in, now this uptrend is done, and now it's in a downtrend. So this would have been where you would have entered shorts, and you would have gotten out of your long position. And now this would have been profit target number 1, and now you're looking for it to potentially break this support right here. It looks like this is holding. Because this was old support and resistance on these previous moves. Alright, so we've gotten a pretty good lesson here. Hopefully you guys kind of understand how to use pivot points to trade throughout the day to set profit targets. Now, this is on moves that have already happened, so you get the huge move in the opening, and then you're just playing the pivot points throughout the day. So, when you get the huge move on the open, this is what you can do on this. Xenon, if you go in the money on 0 days, there's no theta decay, so 0 days you should never buy out of the money, because theta decay is going to be, you know, every hour it goes by is 15% theta decay. You got to think you have 8 hours in a day. if you buy in 4 hours a day, every hour is going to be 25% theta decay. So if you buy, let's say on Bitcoin, or let's say SPY, let's go to the 15 SPY. So let's say you had a 1-minute chart from Friday. So this is your trading day right here to right here. So there's your trading day right there. And let's say you were to buy a 0-day right here. This is your intraday noon right there. Oops, I think I moved that. So you see, so what you're doing here is you're thinking, alright, I just saw SPY get over this giant pivot point right here. So this is a huge pivot point, double top here, breaks right here, retests on the next candle, and then breaks out. So you buy in on this breakout right here, this confirmation candle after the retest, and you're like, alright, this is at 439. Now, a lot of people would be like, I'm going to buy the 440 call, I'm going to go for it. But you're going to F yourself because theta decay and the likelihood of that actually becoming profitable is less. What you're really going to want to do is find the old pivot point and say, cool, the old pivot point was right here at 338.70, so I'm actually going to buy the 338.50 call, and my stop loss is then going to be this pivot point right here. So I'm going to buy this 338.50 call because it's probably going to have zero premium on it, and you're just capturing moves. So then, you got your uptrend right here that you're watching with your pivot zone. So you don't know what this uptrend's like. So let's say you were to replay this and you buy in right here. So this is what you're looking at. So you're like, this is a nice cup on SPY. I love this formation. You got an inverse head and shoulders. You got a breakout, a retest there. You're going to buy in right here. And so then you're going to say, all right, here's my pivot zone right here. I bought in right here. I'm going to have a real type stop loss. I'm going to make my stop loss just below that. So I know I'm only going to lose like 10-20% max on this trade. But I'm thinking, maybe your profit target is this double top here. So you're going to say, this is my potential profit target. I'm going to scale out a little bit when I hit this. So let's play this and watch it go. So you're watching this. All right, cool. You got some indecision candles. It's going up. All right, it just hit your profit target, busted right through. So now this is your old. Once it hit through that, this becomes. Hold on, let me pause this. So you can see this had on the 1 minute just broke right through it. You didn't even need to worry about taking profits because it had no indecision. It was very volume supported. You see these huge volume supports on the bottom. So you can see you have low volume, huge volume supported breakout here of above these old pivot points, and the volume was continuing. So you were very confident in this move. So now you're going to take, let's get rid of all our TA here and just show you fresh here. So this was your old pivot point right here. It's your breakout zone. You can see it broke out with volume, so it's confirmed. So then this then becomes, oops. So you got in down here. So this was our entry point down here on this breakout of this pivot zone. So this would have been, you would have gotten in right on this candle right here. So then this becomes your new stop loss. You cannot lose money on this 0-day trade. So if it breaks below this box, you are done. Now, it goes up, it comes down, it makes a new base here, it goes back up. So then you have a pivot point right here. So when it came down, it made this base and then goes back up. This then becomes a new stop loss. So then you would then move, let's say, you then move this stop loss up to here. So there's your new stop loss. So if it breaks that, you sell at least 90% of your position. And then it goes up. And now this old resistance now becomes support. So you see the breakout, the retest. So then this then becomes your new stop loss up here. Let me get rid of this old one. So now you don't let it go below this anymore. So this wick, these two wicks, so you have your high wick and your low wick, is now your new support zone. So it can go, and you might want to give yourself a little leeway, so maybe you go a little bit down and say, alright, I'm going to go halfway down this candle, and that's going to be my support zone. So you got in here, this is your trade right here. So let's continue. So you can see it going up. It's coming back down to retest that breakout. It holds that breakout. You're good to go. Alright, so then this is then, you're in this trade. You move your stop loss up to this support zone right here, and that's your new pivot point. Let's continue. Okay, you can see it created a new support zone. So that's your new pivot zone. That's your new stop loss right there. Alright, so this is important. You see this huge kill candle right down into your support zone. I would have sold probably half my position on this kill candle here for two reasons. You see this uptrend break. You see a couple of dojis into a kill candle. I would have sold right here probably my entire position, most likely, because I would have gotten freaked out. Let's see what happens, though. And that would have been a perfect sell point right there. You should have had a huge move. And if you don't sell there, you're just stuck hoping and wanting for it to reverse. But it broke your sell zone. Like all these, this is your uptrend. So this is your sell zone. When it breaks this, you could actually have reversed your position and then gone short on this. So let's say you then, and I'm just going to show you like how you could scalp a short on this then once it breaks that. So let's say you sold here and then entered puts. So you're like, hey, that got in. This is then going to be your profit target right here. This is going to be, so this is your entry profit target right here. So you could have scalped this down to here. You can see this held here. So you're going to continue holding. So you sold your calls, entered puts on this candle here. Or you sold your calls on this kill candle, then entered on the pivot point rejection there, breakthrough. So then your next pivot point is this old support / resistance. So you can see this old resistance is now becoming support for your puts here. And then you have your next profit target would have been this support right here. So you could have then profited right here. Let's look. Alright, so right here, then you're moving this down to here. Let's see, there's your there's your support zone. So if this came back in, this would have been your stop loss. And you would have gotten out of your puts there. So you could have scalped a 439.82 down to a 439.60, 30-cent scalp. On a day trade, you know, it's 30 to a couple $100 depending on what you did. Now you know this is a pivot zone here. And this is a pivot zone here. So you're not doing anything right now, you're just watching. Because you got your pivot zone set up, rejected that zone, and it just got above it. So now you got this pivot zone here you're watching. You're still not doing anything because you want it to break above one of the tops or bottoms. You're not going to go in. So you would not go in until it broke above here or right here. You'd be done for the day on these moves. Create a double top there. It's just kind of chopping back and forth. You're not doing anything here until it breaks a higher low. Because otherwise you're just going to get chopped up by theta and you're only playing penny moves. You want big moves. And look at how that would just chop you up all day. And you can see how it's respecting these zones too. So you got it in here, you played calls up, you played puts down, and then you do nothing until it breaks this high or this low because you saw that as your big 1-2 and now it's just chopping back and forth all day. And most likely you might not have traded the entire rest of the day, but you would have had a nice move here and a nice move here. Alright. So hold on. Oops. Alright, so you would have played puts right here. So you had this zone right here, and you have these old support zones here. So you would have entered here and put your stop loss right here. So this old base right here. So you have your highs here and your lows here. So you're gonna go your low base and your high base is here. This is gonna be your support zone here. So you would have entered on this candle, this candle right here. And you would have probably freaked out because it immediately reversed, but you're not going to be worried because it's not going to test your support zone yet. So your support zone is this red candle here, or this red zone here. Let's make it yellow for support. So this was your support zone because you could see these were old supports before, and it should turn into resistance if your move is verified. So you entered in on this candle here, and then when it goes below here, your profit target is actually your original here. So you might have taken profit here, but you can see it sliced right through and then held that as support. So you probably would have continued holding this, and now this is now your stop loss. So this yellow box is your stop loss now. And you would have gotten out right there because it would have broken your stop loss. So you played from here on the short down to here. So you would have gotten puts here, or you would have shorted it, or shorted the shares. Now you're moving your pivot zone down to here. So you're not re-entering puts until it breaks this pivot zone, and then most likely you're not entering calls until it breaks above one of these pivot zones here. And with the time amount left in the day, I would have just been done on this. But let's continue to see where it goes and see what happens. As you can see, this pivot went all the way back up to this pivot and rejected. And then it held this line right here. You can see how these zones hold throughout the entire day. And then it rocketed into close. So when it broke above this pivot zone here, you could have entered calls here potentially. And had a nice, you would have had a bunch of scalps on SPY throughout the entire day. Yeah, Billy, there is. I know there's a way, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I usually, just because I'm watching it all day, I day trade for a living. So, that's typically what I do, is I just mentally do it, and then when I see a break, so when it gets close to my stop loss, what I'll do is I'll go in on TOS and I will queue up a market sell. So if it breaks my stop loss, I just instantly hit it, like within seconds. Yeah, Baba's getting murdered, I'm pretty sure. China in general is getting murdered. It's oh man, like, I'm interested to see how low Baba can go, because this is one of my favorite long stocks, but it's so hard to invest in China right now. Like, it's so hard because of the way they're the way the government is treating their stock market. It's like they don't want them to succeed, and when the government's not on your side, like, ooh, that's not good. You can see this pivot zone was holding for so long. But man, I just don't see. I think Baba's going to come back down in the 180s. Like, there's just, bear flagged and then broke south, and now, I mean, if you were to do a fib extension from here, well, that's not what you want. You want this one. I mean, this should at least test 194, if not 190 here. No, Billy, I'm not, but you certainly could. I got no issue with hotkeys. Alright, let's look at Bitcoin one more time. We were looking at that earlier. We had our pivot zones here, potentially. Bitcoin can get back over this pivot zone right here, then should fill this wick up as well. Looks like it's holding up pretty well. Let's go in on the 1 minute. We can get rid of this review. You see all our pivot zones on here holding up pretty well. So it rejected this one, came down to this one, rejected this one, came down to this one, rejected this one, Now it looks like it's trying to do something here. Let's see what happens. Action, you know, I have tons of videos. I don't do one-on-ones. All my education is free. So I do classes every Sunday. I make videos. I believe in free education because that's how I was educated. So you see it's rejecting this pivot zone right here. So this is a new one it created after we were done holding it. So this low support is now turning into resistance. So that's telling me this is probably coming back down here. If it breaks through here, it'll definitely come back down here. Oh, Action, you got all the good stuff in there. DM me in the Discord if you want. We could talk in there. I'm Tamikaze. I'm the CEO owner, baby. I'm the one that talks the most. They say lead by example, and that's what I try to do. Alright, it's testing all these anchored VWAPs. So these anchored VWAPs, you got 3 of them right here. This heavy support area. You got old support here. You got a pivot zone. This should hold right here. If this doesn't hold, then I would be surprised. But this should hold based on the support action here and the way Bitcoin's been moving lately. Although I kind of see a head and shoulders, so that worries me a little bit. This is the 1 minute, so the head and shoulders, the one, isn't as reliable. Ah, it's the volume isn't supporting good bullish action either, so that's a little. This will probably be the candle that tells us what's going to happen. It's holding this zone right here. Below this, and this is going to be a wonderful short. So if this fails to hold, you know, this is what you call a point of control. So above here, the bulls are in control, but below here, then the bears start to get in control when you get below all these anchored VWAPs. Yeah, I'm bullish. I mean, if this price action holds overnight, Mara and Riot and Coin, those 3 stocks, Riot, Mara, Coin, even like the CANs, the SOSs, the what's the other one? EHAN or EHANG, not EHANG. EBON, like those China ones. I don't love the China ones, so you want to go with more of the US ones like Mara and Riot and Coin. Those are going to be a little bit more stable. Well, all of those should move tomorrow because Bitcoin is going crazy tonight. Oh yeah, MicroStrategy. And believe it or not, Square, Tesla. Let me show you something with Square. You guys are gonna like this. So, let me go 15-minute on Square. Why is it gray? Oh man, I have a huge pivot zone here. Oh, it's not a pivot zone. It's a oh, it's actually, so Square is actually at my 5 here. But let me show you something. Let's overlay Bitcoin on here. BTC USD. Wait, sorry, not that one. Compare BTC USD. So I argued with this with Avery, one of my technical analysts, and I said there is a correlation with Bitcoin and Square, and there is. You could see the peaks and valleys. Now, Square is a stock and not Bitcoin, so Square is more stable. But you can see the peaks and valleys match up. So you can see peak, valley, and all the peaks and valleys match up with this. So the price action is going to be different, but you can see the peaks and valleys. So you can see this price action down goes with Bitcoin. This price action up with Bitcoin, it's the exact same. You got a peak and then a flag, and then a peak, and then a flag with Square and Bitcoin. So keep that in mind. Come Monday, you can see it's almost identical price action. And the reason is Square owns a ton of Bitcoin, and Tesla's the same thing. You know, Tesla is a big mover with Bitcoin as well. Not to the extent that Square is, but you know, you got Coin. You know, Coin is almost a mirror image of Bitcoin. So, I mean, it's almost a mirror image. So, Coin was probably going to be your best play tomorrow. Over, like, for me, like, Coin fundamentally is 10 times better than Riot or Mara. Riot and Mara are just strictly miners, so they go straight off price, right? But Coin, when Bitcoin is popular, makes money on transactions. So when you have increased, so Mara and Bitcoin, or Mara and Riot, are good off price action. Coin is good off of Bitcoin volume. So Coin is bullish when you have increased volume because you have more transactions, thus Coin makes more money. You know, Coin holds a lot of it internal as well, so they also get that dual entendre. So they make more money on volume, and they make more money on the fact that they just hold Bitcoin as well because they're an exchange firm. So Coin, over this downtrend, probably should break that tomorrow. Should come to my pivot zone. Let's get rid of Bitcoin here. Let's create a trade plan for you on Coin. Let's get rid of everything. Let's hide the tickers. We'll do this from scratch. Coin. So I had this in the newsletter a few weeks ago. It never hit my breakout zone, but I still really like it. You have this pivot zone right here, so you're gonna go low. So I'm gonna explain this. So you have the low right here, so this is your support and this is your resistance. So there is your zone. So this is probably where we're gonna go tomorrow. I would say the height tomorrow at 237. This is gonna open up really big tomorrow. Nate's gonna be if you followed Nate on this, you're gonna be feeling really good tomorrow. You can see the reason I like this is it had this clear downtrend, retest and break, and then you have an island reversal here. So you can see a couple things here. You have an island bottom reversal, so you got this gap right here, which tested and held, and then you have this gap right here as well. So your island that you're looking at, this is your island right here. See how it's all by itself? That's an island. You got a river and a river, basically. So now you're looking for this downtrend break and these pivot points to get over. So when it breaks into this zone here and gets over this little tiny pivot zone right here, so you got a little pivot zone there, you got a support zone there, you got a bunch of little pivot zones here. This is the 15 minutes, so when you're day trading it, you're probably going to be looking at the 1 minute pivot zones, possibly the 3 to 5 minute pivot zones. But you know, you had a double bottom here. This looks like a Wu-Tang in formation, so probably going to see something. You're probably going to have it open. I mean, based on what I'm thinking, this may open anywhere up here. It's probably going to open $5 to $10 up. It could sell off on open and then go up. Kind of do one of these. Retest this. And then do something like that. So you're going to see it open here, go up, come all the way back down. This could be what I could see it, because you're going to have a pivot zone in here as well. And then you're going to have another pivot zone right here. So this is going to be your levels tomorrow. Yeah, and Amazon accepting Bitcoin, that is such a game changer in my opinion. Amazon accepting Bitcoin, because that's one of the world's largest companies accepting Bitcoin on the world's largest shopping site. So a little crazy to think about. All right. I'll take a few questions here, and then I'm gonna wrap it up for the night. Kenneth, that I actually I already had TNA charted because I was thinking about it for the newsletter. So, these are my zones. See, I had a clear downtrend and retest. The problem with TNA is it has GME and AMC in it. So if GME and AMC are bullish on Monday, yeah, it's gonna go. So watch those two. But that's the only reason I didn't put it anywhere, because I just... Alright. Atos. So I'm thinking Atos should retest this breakout here. So, hopefully you get one more move here, but we'll see. Atos has been struggling lately. It rejected this pivot zone right here. So that's your go long, is over this pivot zone. Probably want to give yourself a little leeway on that. Right now, it's holding this support, so it's kind of in that no man land where you short it under here and you long it over here. D-nut. I haven't charted D-nut in a while. This thing was such a disappointment. The name like that, you'd think it'd really go nuts. I'm not touching D-nut till it can get back over 17. I mean, it's support zone right here. So these are your long and short zones. Under this one you short it, over this one you long it. Piton. I am a little hesitant to long Piton just because it's been rejecting this uptrend zone. Now, I know when you zoom out it looks a lot better. So when you go on like the hourly, it looks nice. You got your inverse head and shoulders. For me, I'm not long in this until it gets over my pivot zone. So over 128, I wouldn't touch it till it gets over 128, in my opinion. Baba looks terrible now. It's still in this downtrend zone. Create a new downtrend zone with this candle right here. So I have a feeling it's gonna retest this zone right here tomorrow. So, I mean, based on what it's doing in Hong Kong, it's holding above here, but it's not looking great. So, for me, it should, maybe if it opens up down here in this range. So, if you got your leaps, don't freak out, but yeah, busy. You should have locked your profits. I would never swing with the market being this high over a weekend. That's just crazy. Alright, we're going to go for a few more minutes here. Try to get caught up on some things here. PayPal hit my price target here, so this is a double top. I expect it to come back down and retest this pivot zone. I kind of had some curling price action here, so I would expect this to come back down like this and then potentially retest this again, but I would expect it to come back down to 305-ish, 304-ish. If it doesn't, that would shock me. Alright, Pfizer. Pfizer is in my breakout zone, so it's kind of in that no man's land. It got above my pivot point here, so you would have longed it here, and that would have been your support. And then when it made this bottom here, you just move this support up to here. And now it looks like it's bottoming again, so you would move then this up to here. So now your support's right here. And you're looking for the breakout above this recent high. So you would have gotten in here, you played it up to here, you're holding it here, this is your take profit here. If it falls below, can't lose on this trade. And if it goes above here, you continue holding it, and then this would become your new support zone right here. Once it breaks above this red line, then you make that your support zone right there, and then that's your you move your take profit target up here basically. And then you're going to play that hopefully at the top of this wick here. Alright, yeah, I took the Baba leap, and so you guys have to understand, like, when it breaks your support, like, so let's just get rid of everything here. This is what people don't get. Like, either gonna hold it for forever, or you take your profit when it breaks your stuff. So you had your daily downtrend here. Alright, so the alert went off right here. So we got in at 221 and it ran to 231. And then you had your uptrend here. So you would have sold right here. When it could not get back into this uptrend, why is this not working? You would have sold right here. You would have gotten in right here. So you would have played this box here to there. So you would have played 221 to 227, a $6 move. That should have made you 30-40% on your leap. And then until it gets above here, so this would have been your basically your pivot point right here. And when it broke that, you're done. When it doesn't hold here, you're done. So then you just wait for another re-entry, and we haven't quite gotten that re-entry yet, because then you're going to move this downtrend break here to here. And when it breaks out here, then you're getting that daily breakout. You only want to buy leaps on daily breakouts. And when they fail to hold, then you take your profits and you re-enter. Or if you're just a long-term believer, you just don't even look at the chart and you just let it play out, because Baba will get back there. It's just got a lot of FUD going on right now, and it's going to frustrate you to hell. You're going to have to wait till earnings. When these earnings crush it, and they will crush it, you have to understand, these earnings are going to crush it. Baba's going to be fine. Like, Baba could move $50 on these earnings. Like, don't be surprised if after earnings, Baba's at 270. Now, I will say Baba at 240, 230, like in this range, is probably more likely, but it's going to 270 if it gets above this downtrend, and it will go to 270. So, you know, it's just playing the zones right now. I'm not a Piton fan. I'm not the right person to ask on that. I think it's a garbage stock, but I know a lot of people like it, so I'll withhold my full talk on that. So I had Facebook going to about 390 on this wave 4. So I don't think Facebook's done. Now I do think Facebook could retrace into earnings here off of this move. Potentially, you know, down in this zone right here. So I would love for Facebook, if I was going to play calls on Facebook, I would love for Facebook to come all the way back down here in the earnings and hold, and then gap up to here. All right. Paulo, you're going to be okay with Square. Might make up for Starbucks and Etsy. Starbucks looks okay. Etsy, I have a feeling Etsy will retest this pivot zone. So yeah, you can see some Etsy price action like this. So as long as Etsy holds above 205.70, probably going to be okay in the earnings, because I imagine most tech companies will run into earnings. But I just have this feeling that like Monday and Tuesday are going to be a little bearish, a little red. You're going to see a lot of I mean, we had a crazy week last week into the full moon, and so you're going to see some profit taking Monday. You're seeing it after hours today. You know, come on. I can't. Fat fingers. Alright, here we go. So, you can see futures do not look great. They're holding this pivot point right here, but that's a bear flag if I've seen one. If we go on the 15-minute, it looks even worse. It's a descending triangle. So, if this breaks right here, you should see it retest here. 438, and when this uptrend breaks, yeah, I think it'll come back down. I mean, I had a full count up here. Hold on, let me redo these counts. So you have 5 waves up. Maybe this count's not right. Let's pull this count back here. So you got one. This should have been a 5, unless that's a 5. Let's look at it on the hourly. It might give me a little more correction. Another thing I could think of is this is actually it. Either that or we're bullish. Like, for me, like if you're doing Elliot wave count, this is an easy ABC down. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right about a 5 right there. And then what? You got an A, B, C right there. Oh, wait, no, this has been. quick ABC. And then you got a really short wave here, so it'd be like what? I mean, this would be... I'm trying to force this bear count now. No, because that means wave 3 would be the smallest, which can't be. Unless this is an ABC up. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, it could be an ABC up, but just so rare. I'll have to see how earnings play out, because I'm too indifferent on this to see right now. I mean, it's holding, as long as it holds this pivot point, there's no reason to be bearish until it breaks this golden zone. So, OPTT. Penny stock that moved recently. Alright. Looks like it rejected this pivot zone right here. I wouldn't play this until it gets back over that pivot zone. There's no reason to. It looks terrible. I don't care if it had news or nothing. Until that gets back over 215, don't touch it. If you're already in it, then 190 is your stop loss. Apple's struggling, so for me, Apple's not a buy until it gets above here. If you're not already in, I mean, if it holds this pivot zone right here, you're fine, but if you're not already in, I wouldn't go in. You might be able to penny scalp it. Apple just moves so slow these days, it's just not fun anymore. Yeah, I did see China futures. It's a bloodbath out there. Moses, let's see. Moses broke my formation. I had thought it would come back, but as soon as it got below here, it just was like a bloodbath. So now we gotta reevaluate this. It's just in a channel down, like. I mean, there's your levels. I mean, it's in a straight channel down. So until it breaks these downtrends, you know, it just keeps rejecting these pivot points over and over. So until it gets out of this downtrend, you can't go long on it. Like, I like long term. If you want it in your long term port, yeah, absolutely. I actually think I had this wrong. So I think this is the A, this is the B, this is the C. No, this is... Why is this not selecting? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Amazon's above the golden zone here, so It should be bullish. So I'm wondering if this was just an ABC down. No, it didn't. Yeah, it violated wave 4 here. That's why I moved my count. So this 1 through 5 makes more sense than this being the ABC. And this just being the ABC right here. So this doesn't violate count. So for me, this is a new. Yeah, so, yeah, those are gaps. Some of them are gaps. Some of them are pivot points. I had some previous charting on here. Alright, pets. Pets hit my... I thought it would go down more, but... You know what? That's crazy. I had this... This was a server alert that people got in on from 28 to 46. I remember that. That was crazy. Curious to see where pets goes from here, though. Alright, so we've been going almost an hour and a half now. Roku might have a little bit more in it. My wave 5 was around 490. It is crazy exhausted though. It's got to get over this pivot point for it to get to 490, but that's a clear 1 through 5 up. All of its, I mean, Roku is just the mother of all Elliot wave stocks. It's so good. Long term, I do have Roku potentially going as high as 700. So keep that in mind. This was a nice wave 4, and now this could be the start of a new one. So I've had Roku count for a long time. Short term, you know, you're gonna get 5 waves up. So in order for it to get 770, it's got to get 5 waves up. So you could get 490 into earnings, and then it come right back down to 400, and then from there you're gonna get your wave 3, which is gonna be awesome, because wave 3 should take us to about 650. Then you're gonna go wave 4 between 650 and 590. And then wave 5 will take us to 750. But, alright everyone, thank you. Alright, we'll do shop. Last ticker, no more requests. Shop, last ticker, no more request. Oh wow, I haven't charted this since it was 1400. That looks nice. Wow, that hit 1650. What a ticker. Yeah, that looks nice. So, you had your wave 4 there. Means your wave 5 will be potentially Nvidia's charted in the server. You could see maybe 1800 off of earnings. So yeah, Nvidia's charted in the server, so I'm pretty sure I got 2 methods going. You got your pivot point here, which I couldn't get over, which makes me bearish on it. So it makes me thinking I'm going to get an ABC down because I have a 5 waves up already. So my price target on this is 171, over 200, and I think it can go to 210ish. So, alright, I'm done. Thank you. Have a great night. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you for trading tomorrow, and hopefully we can make some money. Oracle flow is just an alert that we made that detects high probability trades that are actionable over a 7-day period. It could be actionable the same day. Sometimes it takes a few days to go, but generally it's we're trying to detect someone with insider information with those. Alright, thank you and have a great day.